This is it, our Watford preview, and the pressure is on Manchester United and Jose Mourinho after 2 defeats. Let's get started. We've got Dale, Houston and Gaz. Gaz, I'll come to you first. How do we get the best out of Paul Pogba?
I don't think it's a case of what the manager's doing. I think it's more of a case of Paul Pogba. I think that maybe he just needs to be told to chill out a little bit. I mean, we know he's mint and we know he can pull off amazing things in games, but he's not the type of player who does it every single game. There are games where he'll go slightly unnoticed, but still doing the simple things well, you know, making the challenges, simple passes, all that malarkey. He doesn't need to be running all the way down the pitch every time he gets the ball. And I think that it's just a desperation from him at the minute to impress. I think if he chills out a little bit, stops focusing on what everyone's going to think of him and just focuses on having a simple, solid few games now, then I think that'll be good enough, and you'll have opposition fans there. But you know, they'll be saying if he has a game where, say, a game like he did against Hull, where he was pretty just a standard performance. If he has a few of them, opposition fans will get on him saying, "Oh, it's 89 million. You know, he should be banging him in the top corner every week." Well, we're realistic because we're actual fans of the club, so you know we know to expect just good performances, and then every now and then the spectacular. But he shouldn't. He's just trying too much at the minute.
Okay, Dale, do you agree with that? He's just trying too hard because he's coming for a lot of criticism recently.
Yeah, definitely. The price tag comes over his shoulder a small bit, and he's keen to kind of over-impress everyone. But as Gaz says, just do the simple things, and eventually it'll all click. I think fans need to be patient. I think there are fans that are expecting wonder goals straight away and 10 out of 10 performances. And he's a 23-year-old coming to United from a different league with a team that were dominant. This team is very much a work in process. You know, it's going to take time. It's going to take time for him to gel. Another side needs to gel too. I think also with Pogba, to get the best out of him, is going to take trial and error. What formation suits him best with this set of players. And it takes some time too to get used to that, to be the main man. Last year, I think at Juventus, it took him time without the likes of Pirlo and other players around him, but eventually he got there. Paul Pogba's a fascinating player. He's going to be one of our biggest players for the next coming years. Just going to be patient with him, and he will gel and he will prove so many people wrong.
Okay, Howson, Dale touched on it then. What do you think about the system being implemented at Manchester United? Do you think that's how we get the best out of Paul Pogba?
I think, yeah, you've got to move it around a little bit. I don't think you can be so rigid and say we are 4-2-3-1 or whatever we was playing, and then last night we switch it to 4-3-3, which is something I've been asking for us to do, because I think that you do get the best out of Pogba in a 4-3-3. And then people are tweeting you going, we're playing 4-3-3 and we're not playing well, but do you expect to just turn a formation on and see instant results? Football's not like that. You've got to be realistic. You've got to think the players are adapting to each other. The players are adapting to a new manager. There is a few new players in there. There's a new system in place from Jose Mourinho. And a lot of that has to go through Pogba. So there's a lot of adapting and learning for a player that hasn't had a pre-season. He was thrown straight into the mix against Southampton. He's not had time to settle himself yet. So don't write him off right now. If you write him off right now, you're going to look like an idiot come Christmas or early next year when he does settle. And there's other players around the team that are going to settle in as well. And the system will become clear. I think I said in the first couple of games, the way we play now, the way we set up now will not be the way we are playing and the way we are set up come April or May, because we will evolve. We will become used to Mourinho. Mourinho will maybe adapt what he's doing to us. And I do think ultimately it will lead to a 4-3-3, as I think that gets the best out of somebody like Paul Pogba, and we have to adapt our style to get the best out of him. At the moment, I don't think he's been terrible. He's not been like, oh my God, he was rubbish. He was kind of non-existent in the derby, but he wasn't rubbish, was it? I mean, it wasn't like everything he was doing was wrong. He just wasn't doing enough of what he should have been doing, really. So I think people are focusing on the price tag massively, which was always going to happen. Yeah. But make no mistake, we have got a genuine world-class player, and when he does settle, and he will settle because he wants to be here, he will settle and he will come good. It just takes time. Nothing happens overnight. We've got to be a little bit patient. We all saw the signings. We saw the new manager coming in, and we thought, great, everything's just going to click into gear. But for the simple fact is, we finished 7th, 4th and 5th in the last few seasons because the team is not good enough. We've brought in some additions. We have got a better side than we had last year. We've probably got a better manager than we had last year. But don't expect miracles, because real life doesn't happen overnight the way some things happen in video games.
Here's the thing as well, though. We're all really excited for this season, understandably. And obviously now the mood just seems to have dropped to rock bottom all of a sudden. And understandably, you know, the Europa League defeat wasn't a good one. But you've got half a team out in a competition that no one's really that fussed about. We've lost one game in the league, which I know it's a Manchester derby. Horrible to lose them at home. That game could have easily finished 2-2. Very, very easily. And we've won 3 games on the bounce in the league there, and we've lost 1. If you get a win against Watford, it's 4 wins out of 5 in the Premier League. I just don't understand why people are over-exaggerating this so much.
Probably the 2 defeats on the bounce, I reckon.
I know, but still.
It's
people love a meltdown, guys. That's what it is.
It's early days.
It's because they're in a row. Right, let's look at the teams you guys would pick. Dale, what would be your team to face Watford?
I'm going to stick the same formation as the City game, a 4-2-3-1. I agree with Stephen. Eventually, I think we'll go to a 4-3-3, but Mourinho touched on something last night, saying if we're going to go back to normality, what was working at the start of the season. The defence picks itself really. Got De Gea in goal. Tony V will come back into right back with Luke Shaw at left back. I do think Chris Smalling's going to start ahead of Blind. I think at the start of the season, Mourinho was in a situation where he couldn't drop Blind, even though Smalling was on the fringe because Blind was playing so well. I think mistakes will come with Blind, even though he does adapt to different positions quite well. But he's still an accident waiting to happen at centre half. And I want to see Smalling come back in and form a partnership with Bali. Midfield won't change too much with Fellaini and Pogba in front of the defence. I expect Lingard to start alongside Rooney and Martial behind Ibrahimovic.
Okay, Howson, what are you doing?
Again, I would like to see a 4-3-3, and really in the way that we line up in the 4-2-3-1, if you just tell Rooney to stay away from that hole behind Zlatan and operate almost like a number 8, he can do that for me. So it's going to be Big Dave in net, Valencia and Shaw, if they're both fit. I'm not sure 100% on the availability of those. I am going to go for Bailly and Blind, although I think Dale's probably right in the sense that Smalling might be bringing his way back into the team. And I would be interested to see how Bailly and Smalling line up, in all honesty. And I wouldn't actually mind seeing Blind in central midfield, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to go for Bailly and Blind at centre-half. I'd like to see Schneiderlin get a start because I think his mobility in midfield is needed, especially against what Watford are going to do because they're going to play 5 across the middle, and I think there's a danger of us getting overrun. Not in the sense the way City overrun us, just in terms of pure numbers. And I think the work rate and mobility of Schneiderlin is something that I would like to see. Alongside him, Pogba with Rooney, but also operating a little bit of a pendulum with Pogba. So both of them coming back, both of them going forward. I would like to see Rashford on the right-hand side. I think you can start him, but you need to start him where he's got a little bit of space. Take the pressure off him a little bit. Zlatan always comes deep. He holds the ball up, and then you need players that are going to run him behind. So if Zlatan's holding the ball up, and he is for me in this team, number 9, then I want to see Rashford and Martial diving into the box. Martial on the left, obviously. Rashford on the right. And I think that's where we use the attacking outlets because I thought against Feyenoord, we looked like we was a little bit toothless. Mata was coming in a little bit too much. Darmian doesn't offer any threat down the right-hand side, so he wasn't attacking down that side. Rojo was awful as a full-back. We wasn't getting anything from him. So I think Shaw and Marshall's are more of an attacking outlet. Valencia and Rashford is more of an attacking outlet. And I think with Zlatan leading the line and having those options in and around him, you've got a completely different game. So that's how high I'm going.
Okay, Gaz, what are you doing?
So I'm going to go David De Gea in goal, Valencia right back, Smalling and Bailey as 2 centre-halves. I agree with Dale. I think it's about time Smalling comes into the team now. I think he's the best centre-half of the club. And if he gets a consistent run of games this season, I think he will prove himself once again to be one of the best centre-halves in the league. Luke Shaw at left back. I think he's going to do a 4-2-3-1. Pogba's got to play. Real chance to prove himself away at Watford and shut everyone up. And alongside him, I don't think you can drop Marouane Fellaini really in a league game. I think against Man City, he was actually one of our players that wasn't awful. So Marouane Fellaini gets there for me alongside Paul Pogba. They actually look like they're getting a good partnership in some games this season. And then the 3 behind the striker, I've put Martial on the left. All these people questioning Martial. He's going to be brilliant this season because he is brilliant, and I've not been so sure of a player becoming world-class for Man United in a very long time. Martial on the left. I want to see Rashford play on the right. I think Wayne Rooney is going to play as well behind the striker. Wayne Rooney, I know that people have criticised him for what he's not really done enough during games, I've heard people say it's just flashes. He just has flashes in games, but those flashes have resulted in a goal, 2 assists, and you could even argue 3 assists for the City game. Admittedly, Claudio Bravo was more at fault, but Rooney put the ball in. So those little flashes, if they're equal in assists and goals, stick him in the team. That's all I'm bothered about. And Ibrahimovic up top, obviously.
Right, let's have a quick look at our FanDuel Team of the Week this week. So this is your chance to play fantasy football with us here at Full Time Devils with FanDuel. And I'll be honest, we're not that good, especially based on last week's results. We're sort of terrible. So this time we're getting involved in the fan favourite league where you can win a share of the pot, which is $7.5 grand. And that'd be nice to win. We'd all enjoy that. It's £5 to enter, and if you're in the UK, you're over 18, do it, why not? Also, if you use the promo code DEVILS, if you finish outside of the winning money places, you get your money back. Well, couldn't that be better, could it? All the details are in the description below, but let's have a look at the team this week, which was picked by Stephen Howson. So we've got David De Gea in goal, makes a lot of sense, Davies, Jagielka and Cook at the back, Morales, Zaha, Antonio and Sigurdsson across the midfield, and Christian Benteke, Rooney and Ibrahimovic. Interesting that he's picked Rooney, based on all his general views on him, and Christian Benteke and Zaha. He's expecting a lot of Palace this week. So that's what Howson thinks. Let us know, get involved, give it a go. Details in the description. Let's get back to the preview. So moving on, we've touched on this already, but let's talk about formations. There's been a lot of debate over the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3 and how we get the best out of individuals and how we get the best out of the team. Howson, you talked about this earlier. Please elaborate more for us.
On what, mate?
Well, on your preferred formation, which formation you think we should be playing now, which formation maybe you think we should be playing in, let's say, 6 months.
I don't like Wayne Rooney as a number 10 in this team at the moment because I think a number 10 should facilitate fast transitions from defence to attack, and I don't think Wayne Rooney does that. This isn't me slagging Wayne Rooney off before everyone jibes in the comments. I think just the
jibe in, he hates him.
The type of player that Wayne Rooney is at this stage of his career. Jose Mourinho said he doesn't see him as a number 8. I think he'd be decent as a number 8 alongside someone like Pogba if you had a third midfielder in there, because as much as Wayne Rooney charges around the pitch, he would completely gas out by the 60th minute if you try to play him in a midfield too. And he also tries that Hollywood ball a little bit too often for me. And when he's played as a number 10 and you're transitioning from defence to attack, what Wayne Rooney does is take like 4 or 5 touches of the ball when 1 touch and a decent quick pass would do. People compare him to Paul Scholes because he's firing these big balls out to the wing. But what they forget is Paul Scholes would know that it was going out to the wing before the ball came to his feet. He would take 1 touch in the right direction and he would put a quick ball out to the wing. What Wayne Rooney does is he takes the ball, he then has a look around, he takes 2 or 3 more touches and then puts a ball that allows the entire defence to shift over there because they know that it's coming. There's no surprise in what he does. He slows us down. He does not facilitate quick play. And I think your number 10 has to facilitate quick play. So for me, Mata and Mkhitaryan are better options as a number 10 in a purely attacking sense. But I think you get more in terms of leadership, team cohesion, and fight from Wayne Rooney. So I do want to see him on the pitch, just not as a number 10. That's why I'd like to see us possibly evolve to a 4-3-3 with him alongside Pogba and have someone like a Schneiderlin behind him. But ultimately, I see him being replaced even there by somebody like Herrera. The energy of Herrera, the busyness of Herrera. The problem that we've got with Wayne Rooney is that wages aside, right? I don't care how much we pay our players, but when you look at what £300,000 a week players do for their teams around the world, we do not get parity out of Wayne Rooney for that. So you look at number 9. Is he the best number 9 at the club? No. Is he the best number 10 at the club? No. Is he the best number 8 at the club? No. So why are we still picking Wayne Rooney in the side? Is it in his contract that we have to play him if he's fit? Now, I don't want to turn this into a Wayne Rooney debate. This is a formation debate. But I think the best formation for Manchester United doesn't include Wayne Rooney as a number 10. And unfortunately, it seems like, again, we are trying to shoehorn a player into the side rather than going, this is the best system for Manchester United to win football matches. I'm sorry, mate, you're going to have to sit out. Like Mkhitaryan does, like Schweinsteiger does, like Mata does. Legends of the game, fantastic footballers, but when they're done being useful for the team, they are done being useful for the team. There's no room for sentiment. If there was, Bobby Charlton would still be playing centre mid.
That is a very interesting point. Gaz, how do you feel about it?
Sam, do you want me to be honest with you?
I'd love you to be honest.
I don't know what to think anymore. Because I've been wanting a 4-3-3. I've been thinking, I think that just seems like it'll work. And I'm thinking, if you play the centre midfield trio that I was sort of thinking of, Schneiderlin and Herrera and Paul Pogba, then is a stunning centre midfield trio. I think that has got the legs on it to do any team. And then we see it in the Europa League, and it's nothing there. There's nothing like what I expected.
Hang on, Gaz.
Go on.
When the first time you got on a nest, was you any good?
First time I ever got on a what?
On the nest.
On a nest?
A bit of, was you any good at it the first time you had a go? But you stuck with it, didn't you? And you got better.
Yeah, I got better.
Right. There we go.
Arguably. But
well, that was weird.
Like you say, yeah, we'll see how it goes after a few games, eh?
Don't judge it after the first time, Gaz. It'll improve.
Right, well, I'll give your mum a ring and ask her if I've improved anyway on it. But yeah, like I say, let's see a few more games of both formations really before we judge it too much. But yeah, let's see another game of 4-3-3. But if it's anything like that Feyenoord game, don't know what went wrong.
Okay, Dale, do you think Wayne Rooney is affecting the change at Manchester United? Do you think he's a big part of what formation we play?
No, I think there's too much emphasis put on Wayne Rooney. I think when you look at your best formation, you look at what formation your team plays best under. And that, for me, is without Wayne Rooney. So whenever we talk about formation, everyone quickly jumps to, how can we fit Wayne Rooney in? Maybe you can't fit Wayne Rooney. And I think Gaz touched on a midfield trio that we've seen against Feyenoord. It didn't work out. And Stephen correctly said that over time, they'll gel and they'll get better over time. For me, it will evolve to a 4-3-3, but maybe not just yet. At the moment, it's too rigid. I want to see United play more kind of fluid football. The likes of Pogba and that interchange and just expressing themselves a bit more. It's too much laid back, and eventually I think they will gel and they will get better. But for me, the best formation just doesn't fit Wayne Rooney.
Okay, that is interesting. Let us know what you think in the comments. It's also, I think, interesting to note that Ibrahimovic, Henrik Mkhitaryan and Paul Pogba all came from clubs that were very successfully playing a 4-3-3.
Very good point, Samuel.
Did they turn up to play a different formation? Did they pick three specialists from 4-3-3s to play a 4-3-2-1? Seems very unlikely in my view. Now, let's talk about Watford. What do we know about Watford, Howson?
They play three at the back and two up front, which I kind of got a bit of a thing for, especially the two up front part. They're going to pack the midfield, so they're more than likely going to go 3-5-2, which is why I want to see us match it with three in midfield, and then obviously you have your two wide men coming in to match that. Because, as I said earlier, there's a chance that we're going to get overrun, which we saw against City, but the reason we was overrun against City is because they had world-class players like David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne in and around the likes of Fellaini, which was never going to be a match-up in a million years, unless you can pack the midfield with just bodies. I don't think we need to worry about them going forward too much because they've not looked great going forward, but as with every team that's struggling a little bit, if they just decide to throw two banks of four in front of us, we need to think, how are we going to break them down? And that's going to be the big issue for me. Capue's got goals in him, obviously, and I think Igalo's probably going to find his scoring boots a little bit like he did last year. But apart from that, it's just going to be on what Manchester United are able to do with the ball in this game, because I do see it's that same old thing in it where we go to an opposition ground, they make it incredibly tight for us, and they're either going to get a 0-0 win or they're going to scrape an actual win and score one and beat us 1-0, unless we can get an early goal, a bit like we saw at Bournemouth, and then go on, pile a little bit more pressure on and be quite comfortable in the game.
Okay, Dale, Troy Deeney, £30 million striker. Should we be concerned? Yeah,
well, look, like Troy Deeney and Igalo have a great partnership together, so obviously it's going to be some bit of... We're going to be wary of those two, how we set up defensively. But also the new guy in midfield, Pereira, the record signing from Juventus, who scored in his debut against Arsenal. He's a player you might want to keep your eyes on in terms of attacking prowess and whatnot. But yeah, look, we can't underestimate these teams. As we've seen in seasons gone by, they're going to want to cause an upset against United. And these have the attacking players to do so. We need to be wary of that. But as Stephen said, look, we go there away from home, we try to get an early goal and pile the pressure on. We don't want to see what we've seen against Hull the last minute, throwing bombs into their defence, because, look, we can't really afford to be dropping points consecutively now. Do you know what I mean? People are saying we're under a bit of a crisis. We're not, but we need to start getting points back on the board again and building confidence and morale.
Okay. Gaz, any concerns about Watford?
I'm not going to talk about Igalo and Deeney since the other two guys already have. What I will say about Watford, though, is that they have a moose on their badge and they're called the Hornets. What's all that about?
Best badge in football, mate. Best badge in football.
Why do they have a moose? Is it a moose? Why do they have it on the front of the...
I quite like the Wolves badge.
Yeah, the Wolves one's quite cool, and they're called Wolves. But this is
Yeah, it makes
Watford,
so
who have
much
a
sense.
moose, and they're called the Hornets.
How do you
Yeah,
reckon
that is
Wolverhampton came up with their name? They're like, we need a spirit animal. What do we have?
But it's clever. It just makes sense.
But yeah,
I like
that's
it.
all I know about Watford anyway.
Okay, well, thanks, Gaz. Let's have a
Knowledge.
guess at the scores then. Dale, what do you think the score will be?
2-1 United.
Howson?
3-1 United.
Okay, Gaz?
3-0, Pogba's going to score.
Nice. I'll say 2-0 because no one else did, and I've got to say something. That or it'll be one of those fluke games that's like, I don't know, 9-4.
I can
Bet
see
you a
the
mortgage
camera.
payment, it's not 9-4.
Every couple of years, one of those happens, doesn't it? Be interesting. Anyway, thanks very much. Let us know what you think, especially about the formation, Wayne Rooney stuff. I thought that was quite interesting. Get it in the comments below, and I don't know, give the video a thumbs up, I suppose. See you later.
Bye.